So
This
talk to you soon.
conference will now be recorded.
All right, so I have a full attendee list of 3 folks so far. So I got, yeah, so I just got 3 agents here in the room. Do we want to give it a second, longer for everybody to show up?
I do have a few agents over here in the conference room. They're all watching together in a big
Okay,
screen.
awesome. Yeah, cool. All right, then we'll all just give it maybe 2 more minutes and then we'll jump into it, okay?
Okay, excellent.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's just jump into it there, John. I'm gonna go and get started. Anybody else that shows up, we will have this recording available for them, so that we just don't miss out on time for those of us that were able to make it here at the top of the hour. So let's get going with it. And thank you again. Yeah, thanks again for everybody showing up. I know this is going to be our 3rd training so far. And so from this point, any future trainings that we need, John and I will sync up and see if there's any points here of the system that really need our attention. But for the most part, what I've covered, just to summarize a little bit, our first training really encompassed the fundamentals of the platform, getting going, checking our dashboard, understanding what the daily call creation was for KvCORE, making our phone calls for us. We also dove into a little bit of the understanding of our default new lead buyer campaign and how and why that works for us, why it's so upfront to the lead to get those leads to reply to us and move them down our pipeline. And then we covered some different aspects of support and where we're going to continue our training here with the system. So that was here in the help and resources, open trainer, and then our top 10 training series as well. So I believe our second training that we went ahead and did, let me just kind of pull up, I think we talked about the 5-stage listing process last time we spoke, where we went over really working a seller lead from the point of acquisition when we first acquired that seller lead to the point of generating a coming soon landing page, and kind of working through the process of really leveraging the system and applying different tools like our landing pages, our listing, our manual listings, to upload that to our website. We also talked about using our smart number and a couple other things. So what I was going to do today was kind of home in and really drill down on this meeting, more focus on text codes. I'm going to cover a little bit about how the KvCORE Craigslist auto poster works. So I'm going to be doing a demonstration of that. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about mobile apps moving forward, so we can really kind of get this thing leveraged for us. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and dive into it and jump into listings. Also, with this chat box, for those of us that are not sharing a PC or not sharing a console for this training, you can use this chat box that we have here for the GoToMeeting webinar that we're on to throw in some questions. And this is your time, so feel free to dump those in now more than ever. Also, with this training, I'll be circling back just to be sure that we're all getting our leads imported and we have our third-party lead sources synced. And then I also may touch on a little bit of some marketplace stuff that we can do to really get this thing going for us. So yeah, use the chat box there for any questions. John, if anybody there in your room has any questions, I suppose, if there's a moderator there for the PC and they want to dump in some questions, or if you guys want to unmute toward the end, we'll make some time to get those things answered. All right, here. So from the listings tab, I know last time we were here, we spoke a little bit about the manual button up here on how we're going to create those coming soons, those just solds, or those exclusive pocket listings to publish onto our website so that we can then share that URL across social media. We can share it with our database and a couple other things we can do with it. So we're going to move off this and really dive deeper into how we're going to be publishing listings to Craigslist, right? So let me see here. I'm going to just pick on this Belfair property right here. So if I give that a click here from my listings tab, you'll see that from here, and just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, I'm going to jump into this Craigslist auto poster in 1 second, but just to kind of admire the fact that having your MLS open on a separate window in a separate tab is always a pain to have two systems open up and doing two different things simultaneously at the same time. So with this, we see that we have all of our MLS data coming in here to our KvCORE site. And with this, we also have some added analytics. So if you do have a listing published on the MLS, you will be able to come in here and see the exact analytics of views, days on market, and a bunch of other cool stuff that we have right here for your convenience. Also with listings that aren't yours, you see that we do provide the listing agent information up here. So this agent's information is never published on the front end of your website, so you don't have to worry about your leads contacting this agent for that deal. So this is just here for you to have this quick resource in the event that you are working with a buyer on this specific listing, that we can go ahead and contact that listing agent, okay? So along with the overview, we do have our gallery of image, which is really cool. Similar listings is something that I quickly wanted to mention. So similar listings is really intuitive in the sense that our developers kind of put together this filter or this sort to show similar listings, not only based on the area and the price range and things like that, but also through the imagery. So, and what I mean by that is the same technology that Google uses or Amazon uses. It's called image recognition technology. So if you are looking at one product or car or something like that, it's going to suggest other cars or other products that you may be interested in just based on the look of the property. And so this is what we're doing here is we're going to, and these aren't going to be picture perfect. Like if I click down these listings, they're not all going to look identical to this, but based on the interior and exterior part of the photographs, they're going to give you other similar listings like this one here. So just take that into account as you click through these tabs. Nearby listings is going to be everything within a 2-mile radius of that one listing. So if we're wanting to get more information with that sort, we can just kind of click through these. Right? And then lastly, the view activity. It's kind of hidden down here. Not too many people know about it, but this is really strong, especially if you have a listing published on the MLS. We can come down here and click this view activity button, and it's going to show all of our leads in the database that have ever looked at that listing. So then we can click on these and say, hey, I see that you had some interest in this 62 Belfair Road property. Do we want to set up a schedule or do something like that? So keep that in mind as well. All right, so let me jump into this Craigslist auto poster here for us real quick. And just so we all know, this direct link, it's just a shortened link. This actually will take us back to our web page. So if I click on that, we're going to see that it takes me right back to my website and shows me this listing. So it's just kind of a shortcut for you. This also works too if you want to text this or send via email. You can just quickly click that button and send it to one of your contacts. All right, so talking about this Craigslist auto poster, that's going to be this little blue icon. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Sometimes the GoToMeeting panel is in the way. You may have to minimize that, but it's right up here in your Google Chrome browser in this little blue icon. So what I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm just going to go in and remove that from my browser real quick, because I want to go through each step with you as if you don't have this Chrome extension installed. All right, let's give that a second to load for us again. All right, so let's say that I wanted to post this listing onto Facebook, search Twitter. I can do a whole bunch of stuff here. Post to Facebook, post to Twitter, post to Pinterest, all this other stuff. I can print a flyer. I can even generate a QR code with this listing. And for those of you that don't know, those are those square boxes like this that you scan with your smartphone. So if you wanted to put this on any sort of marketing material or on your website or anything else, scanning this would take you right back to that listing on your website. So just a kind of a cool little feature there. But we're talking about Craigslist. Let's scroll all the way down here to post to Craigslist. So if I click on this, it's going to say it appears you don't have our Chrome extension installed. And just so you guys know, this is only specific to Google Chrome browser. So if you're using Safari, Opera, Firefox, Internet Explorer, things like that, this probably won't work for you. But Google Chrome, just so we all know, is the preferred browser for KvCORE. It seems like everything works just fine. We do have a couple little tiny things wrong with other browsers, just little tiny minute things in the back end of the platform for you. So your clients are going to see the front-facing websites the same each and every time, no matter which browser they're on. But we're still looking on ways to get browser support added for platforms like Safari and a couple other things. So just be mindful of that. If we wanted to use this Google Chrome extension, what we do is just go down here to this install via Chrome store. So if I click on that, we're going to see our KvCORE Chrome extension here. So I'm just going to say add to Chrome and then add extension. So it's going to kind of do its thing for a second. And then we're going to see it pop up right here up in the top part of our browser. It's going to say we've added it. Now what we need to do, and I can close out this tab I'm on here. Now what we need to do is tell this Chrome extension, or this little tool we have now, we need to tell it which city of Craigslist that we currently live in, or which city that we'd like to post our listings into, right? So we need to click on that Chrome extension. It's going to say go to Craigslist and set your URL for the city that you're in. So I'm going to say set my URL. And I'm going to scroll on down here, and I'm just going to choose, San Diego because that's where I'm at here in California. So I'm going to scroll on down here, and I want to say I'm going to post my listings in San Diego. And then once I click that, we're going to get a confirmation up here that says it's been set. So now I can navigate away from the page. And that's it. That's all I need to do to just set that thing up. I will never have to do that again. That's just the initial setup. So now I can close out all my windows and go back to my listing. So now we're ready to rock and roll. So what I'm going to do first, just before I try this, is I got to refresh my browser again because my browser still thinks that I don't have it. See, if I go down here and click on post to Craigslist, it'll still say that I don't have it. This just means we just need to refresh our browser one more time so it can recognize that we now have it up here. So if you get that pop up and you're like, I know I have it, just give your browser a refresh and come on back here and post it on again. So if I click on this now, we're going to see that it redirects me to my San Diego Craigslist. Maybe my internet's a little slow here. Give it a second. Alrighty, so it has never done this before with Craigslist side. So maybe Craigslist is, oh, there it goes. There we go, cool. Maybe it was just the GoToMeeting that we're on. All right, so now that it's forwarded me over to my specific Craigslist for San Diego, and this will be different depending on the URL that you set for your city. So after you click from KvCORE to post to Craigslist, it's going to forward you over here to Craigslist, and it's already going to pull up the San Diego area for me. So once I click on this button, I'm just going to move my hand off of my mouse. So I'm just going to click on this one button and then move my hand off the mouse here. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. So it's automatically going to go through the steps of saving me the hassle of creating my post on Craigslist. So just like that, we have a post that's ready to be fired off to Craigslist. So this means that we can probably cast a couple nets out each day, even if we're only spending 25, 30 minutes, maybe an hour each day on just creating a landing page, creating a squeeze page, going through the steps. And this Chrome extension is a true time saver. So huge time saver here. All right, so then going through this listing, we can see that the description is pulled in. All this stuff is editable, so the sky is the limit with what you want to add in here, whether that's a custom squeeze page link or that's a custom landing page link. Really what we're doing is just using Craigslist as a medium to capture lead information. You'll see by default down here at the very bottom, it says info and pics, please text David A to my smart number. Where it's pulling this from is my call capture from my lead engine. So this is everybody's default text code is their first name. And what I mean by that here is I'm just going to leave this page open for us. I'm also going to leave that listing tab open for us. But really what I wanted to do was show you here in the lead engine what that Craigslist tool is referencing. So from lead engine here, if I go down to call capture and I click on get started, each of you should have, when you log into your call capture section of your system, each of you should have your first name right here. So everybody will have their first name along the side here. And so what we're doing with text codes is this is just a way for our consumer or lead to text a specific word to our smart number, and then instantly we send back either an immediate automated link that goes back to that listing, or we can send back a custom text message that that we can create ourselves. So referencing back here to the Craigslist post, because we're not done yet. So this is just saying to the lead, if we were to publish this, right now, if a lead were to text David A to my smart number, let's go back to our call capture. We can see that David A right now is assigned to do nothing. There's no MLS ID attached to it. There's no custom message attached to it. So if a lead were to text that right now, nothing would happen. I always recommend when using the KvCORE Chrome extension tool is to create your own custom text code for the listing itself, like 23 Luzerne Road or Joe's Hill or Oak Street, whatever we have here. So in this instance, we have 62 Belfair Road. So what we're going to do is swap out this David A for Belfair, right? Because we want to just create Belfair for a text code. Text Belfair to my smart number to get more information on this listing. Okay. So, and this could be anything you want. It could be ice cream, it could be tacos, it could be anything you want, right? So we can go out and create these text codes and customize it whatever we like. So for this example, I'm just going to go here and copy Belfair, just the word, right? Because that's what the text code is that I want to use. So I'm just going to go back here to call capture. I'm going to say add new, and my custom text code is going to be Belfair. And I could send all caps or just keep it as is. It doesn't really matter, lowercase or uppercase, the lead will still get the text or the MLS ID. So from here, all I need to do to make this work is I have two options here. So once my lead texts Belfair to this phone number, we're going to send them back either a direct link to our listing, or we can write something custom and say, hey, thanks for checking out our post on Craigslist. As promised, here's our link to this beautiful property. And then we can include our link that goes back, like this one here. Like I mentioned, we can just include that in our custom message, right? So if we don't want to write something custom, we can just say, let's see, actually, so for something custom would be, thanks for checking out Craigslist post. And you have full control over this, so feel free to write anything you like. Thanks for checking out my Craigslist post, as promised. Here is a link to view more details. So I think I copied that link. So let me go here and say copy the link address, and go back here to my text message, and let's give that a paste. So that's it. So all I want to do is just click add. So now we're going to see, so now we actually need to go add this word Belfair to our Craigslist post, because that's what we just created for this listing. So let's go to Craigslist and swap this out. Edit post. And then let's switch David A out. Let's do quotation marks, so it's something really specific here. Belfair. For more information and pics, please send . Okay, continue. For more information and pics, please text Belfair to my smart number. Publish. And so there we go. So now, as soon as I send the text to, if I text Belfair to my smart number, as expected, we're going to get this message back. Thanks for checking out my Craigslist post. As promised, here's the link to view more details, and it'll have a direct link back to my website. So the moment that lead texts that text code to our smart number, we got a new lead, because we have a verifiable phone number, obviously, right? Because if they text us that lead, then we have their phone number of that inbound text. So as soon as they click on this link, after we send this back over to them, as soon as they click on this link, they're going to go back to this website, and they'll already be signed in. So there's no need to ask for their phone number and then ask for their email. So we just want to be sure this is as seamless as possible. So once we come in here, they'll be able to view more about the listing. They can also do things like asking a question, requesting a showing, and a bunch of other stuff here. So as I mentioned, you, or actually me in this case, because this is my demo account, your information will be showing right here, not the listing information, okay? And so yeah, so that's how we're going to get that working for our text codes now, and the Craigslist auto post. And we can get as creative as we want here. We can go in and edit the post and create more images. I think that was actually the option down here, edit images. So if we wanted to add more, we can do more. If it's our listing, we can just dump those in there and do that sort of thing. So cool. Well then, that's how we're going to do Craigslist auto post. Please let me know if you have any questions. Dump those in our chat box, and I'll be sure to get those answered for you. So let me cancel this out. Really cool tool, saves a ton of time. And talking about listings, I don't think there's too much more. I know there's a ton of options here on the right-hand side, so feel free to explore these. We also have a ton of resources back here in our help center to help you decipher what would be the best way to publish this, like posting to Facebook, for example, or something like that. So if you have like a business page and you do post to Facebook, instead of posting to your own personal timeline, you just go up here and say, share on a page you manage, right? And then from there, we can even boost that and do something more specific, like I talked about on our last training, of boosting and targeting by zip code to be more specific and spending a little bit of an investment on that. So that's an option for us too. All right, so let's jump off here real quick and let's circle back with text codes, because I know there's a lot we can do with this besides listings. I know this is a huge plus, or the huge upside to a lot of agents that like to use these text codes on their sign writers. And the really added sort of benefit of this is they'll do something short. And I spoke to another agent about this, I want to say just a week or two ago, is they don't create actual words. He just uses numbers. He just uses something like 7575, like something easily known, or 2222. You know, or something like that. I think it has to be a minimum of 4 characters. So you just can't say text the number 2 to my smart number. So if we just wanted to put like 7575 and plug in our MLS ID right here to that listing, we can just click add, right? So then we can go and market this text code of 7575 to my smart number. And every time that lead texts 7575, they're going to get our specific MLS ID. And so just to kind of see, let me see if I can't pull up, and this is just my office number here. Let me see if I can't pull up an example of me texting this before. So this is just my smart number for my demo account for those of you that are curious. So this is an example when I, the lead, texts 123 Oak Street, which was my text code. I believe that is, oh, it must, oh, there it is. Yep, 123 Oak Street, and it says, you got it, congrats, right? So if I pull up my phone here at in my office, we can see that I said 123 Oak Street, and it says, you got it, congrats. So as expected, when I send that text, this is what the lead gets back. Looks like I also got a new text lead notification. Let me see if I can't pull up one for the MLS. And if not, then let me go and create one for us. So let's do, let's just do Oak Street. I'm going to text Oak Street real quick for you guys, just so you can see this work in real time. Oak, I think it was spelt out Oak Street, right? Oak Street, yeah. So, all right, so I just text Oak Street. Oh, you know what this is? Ha. What I did was I used my office line up here as a test lead. And just so for those of you that don't know here with the system, if you're using your personal cell phone number to create a test lead and you're trying to gauge how the smart number works, you're going to receive a message back like this. Because essentially what you're doing is, because your smart number is tied to your cell phone and you are creating a test lead with your cell number, it's kind of creating like a like a paradox where the smart number is trying to contact your phone by using your phone. And so it'll throw a little error response like this. So just be sure that if you are creating test leads, just use a different phone number or use your friend's phone number or a family member's phone number and create a test lead that way. So how this would have looked if this did go through is basically what it would say is it would say link, and then it has the short link to our listing. So let's see if it's still, oh no, it's not on there anymore. So it's just going to have a link to your website. So let's just pretend for a second that this is your link to your website. Okay. So this is just going to be an automated message. If I choose, and just so we all know here, if we choose the MLS option here over the custom written message, it's either this one or this one. So we can't use both. So we have to use either the MLS ID or the custom message. Custom message, obviously, I showed you how that works. It just sends back whatever you write here. MLS is going to send you back or send the lead back a pre-scripted blanket email. So you can't edit it or do anything. And so that's what I was showing you here just a second ago. So this is actually going to be what it looks like for the content. So it's going to have, so it's going to say link, colon, it's going to have the website link to your listing. And then right below that, it's going to have the address of whatever listing it is. And let's just say San Diego, California. And then right below that, it'll say beds and baths. So let's just say 3 beds, 2 baths. So that's kind of like what it's going to send back if you use the MLS option. It's just going to send link. It's going to have a website link. It's going to have the address to the listing, and it'll say 3 beds, 2 baths, or whatever the beds and baths is for that property. So that's something to be on the lookout for if you were to use that. And so that's great for sign writers, like I mentioned. There's that error again. And so, yeah, so that's how we're going to really leverage this and just kind of think outside the box here a little bit when we get down to using our text codes, like using the search term search. So if you are a market expert within your area and you only service a specific area like Willow Glen, let's just make up a name for a second. So if you're a agent or a realtor that is servicing the Willow Glen community, I might say search Willow Glen or reduced in Willow Glen or something like that. And so what I can do is go back to my website. This is really cool, by the way. If I go back to my website and I use my search options, I can also do this from my squeeze pages, by the way, but this is just kind of me doing it on the fly here. If I go back to my options and I say reduced and I choose my area, let's just, for this example, let's just say Orange County. Okay. So if I wanted to create a text code with this, what I could do is just go up here and say copy, and we probably wouldn't want to send this link over text message just for the obvious reasons of this would just take up pretty much like their whole cell phone screen. So we can use a thing like Bitly, bitly.com, and for those of you that don't know what Bitly is, they just shorten super long links into these little itty bitty tiny links for free. So all you do is just click in here and just paste that long link, and it shortens it into this little tiny link. So it's a really cool tool. So from here, this is going to go to reduced homes in Orange County forever, right? So as new MLS listings, or if new listings come into the MLS within Orange County that are reduced, this link will always show the most recent results. So it'd be good to come in here to our text codes and say add new, and we can just say reduced, right? Reduced. If reduced, yeah. Doesn't have to be capitalized, by the way. So we can just say reduced. And so maybe if I wanted to include this on some marketing material or my business card, I would just include some text right above this text code that says, looking for reduced properties in Orange County, and then I'm going to say text reduced to my smart number to get a list of the newest reduced properties in the county. And so from that point, I would just paste in my bit.ly link, right? Or I can add something custom to it and say, as promised, here's the link that I had mentioned, or thanks for the interest, here it is, enjoy, whatever you want to write there. And so this is another way that we can kind of leverage that text code, right? Okay, so going back here, so search is another way. I believe this one here is for my Millions Mapped app, which is something I wanted to cover on today's call as well. So each of you, while we're talking about text codes here, each of you have your own consumer-facing or client-facing app. It's called Millions Mapped. And I think I may have mentioned this. I'm not sure. I just do a ton of training, so I apologize if I'm going to repeat myself here. But within Lead Engine, we have this little tile down here at the bottom left. And you really can't download it from here. This is just a scope of kind of what it does and how it works. So this is a consumer app for your clients, and it's really cool. You can draw on the map. You can do polygon search mapping. You can do heat maps. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with it, and it's going to be specifically tied to your leads. So kind of the name of the game here is that each of you have your own agent website. And if we put the keys /app.php after your website, this is the link that we're going to want to send to your leads, because we want to text over this link so that when they get a text from us, it's going to say, hey, this is that app I was telling you about. It's faster than Zillow. Listings are updated every 15 minutes. You can request showings anywhere you want in the country. So this isn't just specific to your MLS. This is for the whole entire country. So this is really a robust app for them to have. It's kind of like a value-added tool for you, the agent, to provide to your clients. So it's just another reason for you to follow up after you send this text. Follow up 2 weeks after that. Hey, so I wanted to check and get some feedback, and just let them know, hey, so we're working on ways to improve this app. I just want to let you know what your experience so far is with it. Have you been able to find any homes? What are your questions? So it's just a way for us to constantly feed them some value so we can follow up with them and kind of get the ball rolling and get that transaction closed faster. So if you wanted more information about the Millions Mapped, it is here within Lead Engine, so you can click on that. This goes back to our help center, where we can goes over what it is and how it works. But just so you guys know here, if I go to my website, and I am on my website, let me get rid of this index.php here. All right, so there's my website, my agent website, and if I put a / and then I put app.php, this is all I need to text over to them, right? Copy, text code. Let's go over back to our text codes. Okay, and that's what I used here, right? So I've already created one before. I think I've actually created 2 of them. So if I go edit, it's going to say, thanks for the interest in my mobile app. Click here to get it from the App Store. And so there's my website, as I wrote before. So on my website, / app.php. So just so you guys know, when the consumer clicks on this link and then go to it, if I click the return key on my keyboard, we're going to see where it goes. So it goes here, but they're not necessarily going to want to open it up on a desktop, because we want them to go to the App Store to download it for their phone, right? So if they click on this and they go to the App Store, they really can't do much with it. They can't download it here from the desktop. So this is why we want to send it over to their phone so that they can click on it through a text message and immediately be redirected to their App Store to download it. And what's cool is when they download that app for the first time, and then they click on open for the first time, they're automatically going to be logged in, and there's going to be a pop-up that comes up that has your information that says brought to you by so-and-so agent from this brokerage, right? So it's going to be looking like an exclusive app for you, the agent. And so play around with it a little bit, write some reviews. We have some great feedback on it, and give that a look. So going back to text codes though, just so you guys know, we probably wouldn't want to, actually we don't for sure want to send over this link. even if we use something like bit.ly and shrink this link all the way down to something really small, we don't want to use this link. We want to use this link. Okay, so as is, send it to them like that, so that when they click on it, they go here, because we can see up here in the URL it says lead ID equals, and then it has this big long string of stuff. That means it's going to match to you, the individual agent. So agent ID, right? So that's you right here. All right, so that's how we're going to be using the Millions Mapped app and how we're going to access it. And then building it into a text code is super simple. Just coming in here and doing something like app and writing your message. Hey, check it out. One thing to mention though, I think I may have said this before, but I'll say it again. With text codes, these have to be unique for every agent in the brokerage. So 2 agents can't be using app for the same text code, right? We can't use the same text code value or search or anything. So if I were you and I'm logged into KvCORE right now and you're actually viewing your call capture screen, I would go in and try to create all of these hot keyword text codes right now, like search, value, app, and make sure that nobody there in the brokerage is currently using it. If there is, it's just going to throw a little red arrow down here and say that text code is already in use. So just feel free to jump in there right now and claim that text code, because these are really cool when it comes down to marketing. So yeah, so going into that app, that's how we're going to get it shot over to them. As soon as they text the word app to my smart number, we're going to send over that link and they're going to be able to download it for their phone. Top value is just something that I used for my home valuations. So if I say value or top value, again, I just write, thanks for your interest, check your home value here. And again, this goes back to my website, to my sell page, so they can instantly get their home valuation. So a couple hot links here. One thing to do is to add this into your email signatures going out to your clients, like have a little paragraph at the bottom. Reduced homes in Orange County, click here. Download a mobile app, click here. Want to check your home's value, click here. Like all these hot links that all leverage your text codes. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to lean on my support team. And if you want to shoot those over to me, I'll be sure to help you as well. But the smart number is really kind of the brains behind the whole thing of how it works and why it works here with getting this thing rocking and rolling for us. So I mentioned a little bit about text codes today, and let's see here, what else did we cover? I think we might have touched on the behavioral automation last time when it came down to our first training, but this only takes just a quick second, and I think it's a really valuable thing to understand when it comes down to your leads. So just to kind of reiterate for everyone, your website, your personal website, is going to be your front gate to your KvCORE system. Aside from anything you're doing like Realtor.com, Zillow, and getting those leads zapped into your CRM, your website is going to be one of the most fundamental or cornerstone tools to get out there and market, so that you can get as much activity on that website as possible. We want to see what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, how often they're doing it, and a bunch of other stuff. So the reason for that is we have these built-in behavioral alerts. So, and how these work is when a lead first signs up on your site. Let's say you go off today after our training, you go in and get that Chrome extension installed, you go out and publish a listing on Craigslist, and boom, here come a couple leads. As soon as those leads come into your system, they're going to be viewing some inventory on your website to see what sort of listings you have. As they begin to exhibit those behaviors, like saving a property on your website or viewing a property more than 3 times, or all these other features, what KvCORE is going to do is it's going to notify you the moment that they view a specific property more than 3 times, or they favorite a property. You're going to receive an email with a link to that lead that says, this lead has just done this behavior on your website. Act now, follow up, text them, call them, get in front of them, so we know that this is the time that they're avidly looking for that home. So apart from it sending a notification to you, what it's going to do is also send a text and an email. So both of these, one after another. I believe, let's see here. So I believe it sends texts first. Yeah, we send them the text message for that behavior. If they don't have a phone number, then we send the email. Cool. So let's say, for example, that lead goes in today after they come over from Craigslist and they view that property. You know, they might close out their browser, go grab some lunch, come back and view it again. They close it out again and go run an errand and come back and check it out again. So now they've viewed this property more than 3 times. KvCORE is going to first alert you, and then it's going to send out this text. And the text is going to say, hi, lead first name, so it's automatically going to fill in there. I saw you were checking out some specific listings on my site. I'll research that for info, offers, and comparables. Any other info that would be helpful, like schools, etc. And then I'll have your info right here. This is nothing that you need to set up or configure. This is already by default. So regardless if you're on a showing, if you're in the car, if you're in the movie theater, as soon as leads are engaging with your website and they exhibit some of these behaviors, these are automatically going to be fired off as you, the agent. So we get them right when the opportunity strikes and the iron is hot. Another thing that fires off here is going to be a follow-up email, right? So it's going to have the listing address of the property they viewed more than 3 times here in the subject line, and it's going to say, hi, lead first name. I just sent you a text referencing the text we just sent a moment ago. I saw you were checking out a few properties, including the one you favorited more than 3 times. And then, you know, same thing here. I'll research that for info, best, right? So I usually don't suggest turning these off. These are really kind of how the magic happens, especially on the front end of the site. You know, you'll be talking to a lead or having dinner, and you'll see an email or a text come through, and it'll be a lead replying to something automated that the system sent out on your behalf. And they'll say, yeah, I'd love to go check out that showing, or yes, I did have a question. So I'd say only turn these off if you don't want to make money here with the system, especially when it comes down to the follow-up here with KvCORE. But in the event that you wanted to turn this off for a specific lead bucket, like your sphere, maybe this is just concentrated of just your friends and family, and you don't want them to really be bothered by any activity that they do on your site, we can just turn this off. And this will turn off the entire lead bucket for all of those leads, right? So these are going to be off for these because obviously if we're working with the client, working with them in contract, closed, and archived, we won't need to send them any sort of follow-up email. So that's how behavioral automation works a little bit. Okay, so I'm kind of getting worried. There's no questions in the chat box. I know you guys are proficient because we've already sat through 2 different trainings so far, you know, I'm sure there's some questions out there. Hopefully, I covered some content that you didn't know so far about, you know, the system. I know that we're going to cover a couple different things that we can do here with text codes and the lead engine and a couple other things here. So apart from that, we're really what I wanted to do, because we're trying to wrap up our agent trainings, you're going to have me as your resource moving forward, but the executive team here has a somewhat of a cap for me to conduct 3 agent trainings, and since this is our 3rd, this may or may not be, depending on how well you're doing with the system, the last time that we get to chat. So I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to get all this stuff taken care of. It takes time to learn and use, yeah, for sure, and that's no doubt. You won't be KvCORE ninjas. I think I may have mentioned this before. You guys aren't going to be ninjas overnight, but just like karate, you have to go and start off, you know, from a white belt to a black belt. So this is how we're going to get you there, is just by learning through the tools that we have here with the system. So really thinking about your day-to-day kind of build out of how you go out and work with your seller or work with your buyer. Think about that process for a second and say, you know what, if I could just streamline and automate this thing completely, so I had to do little to no labor, how would that look like? And what tools would I use? And then look at your KvCORE system and say, you know what, I think I could save myself some time by just going out and building a squeeze page real quick and marketing this out. Or if I'm looking for something to really spice up my social media presence and really start generating some consistent and valuable content, maybe I should start writing some blog content and go over seller resources, buyer resources, millennial resources, right? So anything catchy that we can publish and get those wheels turning. And just think outside the box a little bit. I know a couple agents here that went into WebIDX. They created a couple custom pages, which I don't think we covered. I have, let's see, 6 minutes left, so I'm just gonna dive into it real quick since we're recording, and we can cover a little bit about some custom pages and some blog posts. So custom pages, for those of you, are right here within WebIDX. If you go ahead and click on that, they're right down here. This is really great for custom content, right? So for buyer resources, market reports, analytics, vendors that you work with, mortgage lenders, title, home inspectors, plumbers, everything that you want to do to make your website very robust with content. It is going to improve some SEO, so you're going to get some click-throughs from that. But for the most part, if you wanted to create one, you just go in here to custom pages, click new page, and give this thing a title like buyer resources. And then we just need some content here. Content goes here. Okay. And then from here, we're going to go down, and this is a requirement here for category. This just means that within your resource page of your website, let me duplicate this. I'm going to show that to you here in a second. If I go down here and I'm going to say, actually, I'm not going to name this. I'm going to say 10 steps for first time. 10 steps for first-time homebuyers is the title of my page or the title of my document. But this category is going to live under buyer resources. So this may take some getting used to, but once you have it, and I'll show you how it looks like here in a second, and then I can just come down here and say we're good. So let me save that. There's my custom page, and let me see if I can't jump over here and show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so 10 steps for first-time home buyers, right? So that's what shows on my navigation. Also, if I go to my resource page, it's going to have it right down here. So we chose, just so we know here, we chose buyer resources as my category, which is my category here. And then we have our title of our document, 10 steps for first-time home buyers, within or nested below that category. So if I wanted to create more buyer-oriented content, I would just come in here and say new page and say, you know, buyer do's and don'ts. Buyer do's and don'ts, right? So then I'm gonna go down here, and instead of creating one, I'm just gonna say nest this under buyer resources and say content goes here. Buyer do's and don'ts. Let's give this a refresh. So each one of these are going to be living up here in your navigation, and we can turn these off from WebIDX to say that we don't want them to show up in our navigation, but we do want them to be nested under our resources page, right? Buyer do's and don'ts. So now we can go in and create another custom page and create a new category called seller resources and make these more oriented towards sellers. What you should know about selling your home. This and this. All right, so we're going to nest that under seller resources. Let's go save and give that a refresh. So buyer resources, seller resources. Content is king, guys. So, you know, as you go out there, be sure that we go out there and create some of this content, right? So this and this is that page. If I go down here, buyer do's and don'ts, content. So all of that stuff's going to fill in right here. So if you know somebody that knows how to work their way around some HTML and CSS, I've seen some pretty colorful and creative ways we can get this thing looking really polished. But if you don't, no worries. Plain text is fine too. We can just create those out with the content manager that we have here. So we can go in and say, this is my heading, this is my paragraph. We can create our links and all that other stuff. So All right, so that's custom pages. Feel free to play around with that. I'd love to hear some feedback, and I will be checking in on you guys, so this probably won't be the last time I talk to you. So on the back end, what I'm going to be doing is just checking over some analytics for all of my accounts, really, not just for you guys, but for everybody. And I want to see that folks are logging in to the system, that we are getting our leads imported by going here to Lead Engine and going to Bulk Import and having our team import those over for you. I think I might have shared some resource documents with you guys with 24 ways to grow your sphere. I'm going to go see if I sent that over to you here in a second, because I send that stuff out so often. I just want to make sure I sent that over to you. And then I'll also send over a 10 by 10 worksheet. So this is just going over 10 rows and 10 ways on how to build your sphere. So it goes over and helps you think about who could be part of your sphere. So it's a great tool, especially for newer agents, to really think about that critically, so that we can build that CSV file, build that export file, and get them uploaded here in our database, because we want to see those lead imports, and we also want to see any syndication that you're using, like Zillow or Realtor.com, to get that sent to your CRM. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys, but I know there's more to come. We have some new features on the horizon, so I'm excited to share those with you as they come through. So if you need anything at all, my support team's here for you. We have the training content here in the help and resources. Join the Facebook group. We have a bunch of stuff going on there, and I look forward to our next chat. I'll reach back out and see how everyone's doing. So best of luck for you this weekend, and thanks for the participation, and I'll see you soon.